Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. This is VeggiePta, and this is itsavgbltpta, which stands for I totally suck at video games, but love to play them anyway. And we are playing Hakuoki, Stories of the Shinsengumi. We are going to romance Harada, who is the spear wield. Well, you don't know he wields a spear yet, but I know he wields a spear. He's on the thumbnail of the actual YouTube video if you ever want to just like check those out because you're bored and you want to hear the whole story. Anyway, quick update. I figured out finally a setup where I don't have to worry about game audio being a bitch and echoing, I think. Let me know if it still is, but I've got headphones on now that actually work. Life is good. I have a PS4 in the office now. I got the headphones set up, like, things are shaping up finally. But without further ado, let's get back into the game and let's get me back into losing my voice while I read everything. After breakfast one day, I found myself on my way to the common room with a tray bearing tea. Tea's ready! I made my way around the room, pouring a cup of tea for each person there, making sure not to spill any. It was a routine I'd begun to feel accustomed to.
Oh, すまないね、雪村くん。
He gave me a warm smile as I handed him his tea.
やっぱり寒い日には厚めのお茶がうまいね。
Thank you. I felt a flush of pride at his words, even though I knew quite well that serving tea was hardly anything impressive. Just the same, I felt as if I was helping out in a way, and that was a nice feeling. It had been a year since I'd first come to Kyoto in search of my father. Living with the Shinsengumi wasn't easy, but they'd helped me look for him. Even after a year of searching, however, I hadn't found anything. Sometimes I felt like it was hopeless, like I'd never find him, and that I should just give up. But the men of the Shinsengumi never gave up. They were always there to cheer me on and keep me going. In a way, I suppose I'd grown to love living with them. And I'd even been able to repay them for some of their kindness by helping treat the wounded at the Battle of Ikeda Inn and during the Hamaguri Rebellion. Little by little, I started to feel like I was accepted, as if perhaps I was beginning to fit in. As strange as it might sound, I was beginning to feel as if I had found a place with the Shinsengumi. Then Hijikata spoke, and his words brought me back to the present.
ヤギさんたちにも世話になったが、この短所もそろそろ手狭になってきたか。
まあ、確かに狭くなったな。大使の数も増えてきたし。
You're going to be getting even more soon, right? Heisuke was currently in Edo, recruiting more men for the Shinsengumi's ranks. It was always good to have more soldiers, but they were beginning to run out of space at the compound. The rank-and-file soldiers were being packed into smaller and smaller rooms.
広いところに移れるならそれがいいんだけどな。雑魚寝してる連中かなり辛そうだしな。
I couldn't exactly offer to share it, but I was starting to feel guilty for having a room of my own.
だけど、僕たち新選組を受け入れてくれる場所なんて何か心当たりでもあるんですか?
Hijikata's smile was almost predatory.
西本願寺。
それ、絶対嫌がられるじゃないですか。反対も強引に押し切るつもりなら、それはそれで土方さんらしいですけど。
I didn't leave the compound much except to go on patrol with the men, so I still didn't know Kyoto very well, and I had no idea what sort of place this Nishi Hongwanji temple was. That is not a very common Japanese name, Hongwanji. Or it's romanized weird. Not sure. Interesting.
確かにあの寺なら十分。
Just a boy.
まあ、坊主どもは嫌がるだろうが。それに西本願寺からならいざという時にも動きやすいだろう。
At the time, the Shinsengumi's headquarters was in the Mibu area, which was on the outskirts of Kyoto. Harada was right in that the current location made it difficult for the Shinsengumi to reach some parts of Kyoto quickly, which reduced their effectiveness. Still, Will they really not want us there? Saito only shrugged.
西本願寺は長州に協力的だ。何度か老子をかくまっていたこともある。
Oh. If they supported the Choshu, then that would make the Shinsengumi their enemy. Little wonder, then, that they would hardly welcome us with open arms. That meant a whole other level of difficulty. Asking for a place to stay was hard enough, but asking that from an enemy? I fell silent, and Saito continued as if I'd never spoken.
向こうの同意を得るのは決して容易なことではないだろう。しかし我々が西本願寺に移転すれば、長州は身を隠す場所を一つ失うことになる。
Oh! Of course! Not only was the location desirable, but taking the temple would make the enemy's movements more difficult. Whatever problems we had acquiring the temple would likely be worth it.
僧侶の動きを武力で押さえつけるなど見苦しいとは思いませんか？
There was no hiding his distaste for the idea. Hijikata's voice was level but firm as steel.
寺と坊さんを隠れ蓑にして今まで好き勝手してきたのは長州だろう。
過激な老子を抑える必要があるという点に関しては同意しますが。
His voice trailed off. Although he was still clearly upset, there was little more he could say or do.
都市の意見はもっともだが、三男君の考えも一理あるな。
He nodded solemnly, apparently deep in thought.
さすがは近藤局長ですね。敵方へまで配慮なさるなど懐が深い。
そう言われるのはありがたいが、俺など千両もいいところですよ。
He blushed and coughed in an attempt at nonchalance as Hijikata and Okita scowled in silence at the exchange. The man who had just spoke was Kashitaro Ito, the new deputy commander. He had joined the Shinsengumi only recently. Kondo had left Heisuke in Edo and returned early with Ito and some of his men who had come to join the Shinsengumi. He was reputedly a master of Hokushin Ito sword style and ran a school of his own. When Ito was introduced to the captains, none of them seemed particularly pleased with his addition to their ranks. No sooner had Ito and Kondo left the room than they began to talk amongst themselves.
伊藤さんは尊王攘夷派の人間と聞いたが、よく新選組に名を連ねる気になったものだな。
長州の奴らと同じ考えってことか。そんな人間が俺らと相入れるのかね。
Hijikata grunted and pursed his lips for a moment.
砂漠上位派の近藤さんと上位の面では合意したんだ。
They might disagree about who should run the country, but neither of them wanted a foreign nation exerting its control over their country.
それに近藤さんの砂漠には幕府による尊王を目指している面もあるしな。
Perhaps the different factions weren't quite so staunchly divided as they might appear. Would Kondo and the Shinsengumi work for a future where the shogunate controlled the country, but the emperor was still treated with respect? That seemed like a solution that could make everyone happy. If that was the case, then Kondo's version of national loyalism was a wonderful thing.
つうが伊藤さんが来て喜んでるのって実は三男さんなんじゃねえの？
まあ一刀流つながりだしな。
伊藤さんとも知り合いなんだろ？それに三男さんも尊王派だもんな。
I wouldn't have guessed that Sannan and Ito had so much in common. His expression didn't suggest that he was particularly happy, though.
確かに伊藤さんとは以前から面識があります。学識も高く、弁舌に優れた方ですよ。秀でた参謀の加入で、ついに総長はお役御免というわけですね。
Sannan's words hung in the air, heavy and awkward. I didn't understand the ranks of the Shinsengumi, but as far as I could tell, a deputy commander outranked a colonel.
伊藤さんさえいてくれれば、私がここでなすべきことも残りわずかだ。
I hadn't even thought of it that way. Sannan felt that Ito was a threat to his own position. An awkward silence fell across the room.
でも僕は伊藤さん好きじゃないな。
Okita was the first to speak.
まあ確かにな。嫌な目をしたやつだとは思う。
だよな。気取ってるっつうか、人を見下してるっつうか。
There was a good deal of nodding and agreeing among the three of them for a few moments while I sat and thought. Truth be told, I didn't feel particularly comfortable around Deputy Commander Ito either. It wasn't that he was a bad person per se, only that he was, how to say it, off-putting? Ito's thin smile had spread across his face when Sannan voiced his objection to Hijikata's plan, and now he turned and spoke.
三男さんは相変わらず大変に考えの深い方ですわね。
He doesn't get mouth movements. He's not a major character. His tone was deferential, but it didn't quite match his words.
まあ左腕は使い物にならないそうですが、それも些細な問題ではないですか。
Whoa! Bitch move! Whatever warmth had remained in the room was abruptly gone.
見客としては生きていけずともお気になさることはありませんわ。三男さんはその才覚と心慮で新選組と私を十分に助けてくれそうですもの。
It was as if Ito had taken a knife and driven it straight into Sannan's heart. I saw his shoulders sag, almost as if he had been punched in the stomach, and all around the room jaws were set and knuckles turned white.
伊藤さん、今のはどういう意味だ？
Hijikata's voice was cold and sharp, like the sound of a blade sliding across a whetstone.
あんたの言うように、三男さんは優秀な論客だ。けどな、三男さんは見客としてもこの新選組に必要な人間なんだよ。
Hijikata's last words erupted from his mouth in a snarl, and there was no mistaking their meaning.
ですが。
He couldn't even seem to bring himself to finish. No matter how much they might need a swordsman of his skill, Sannan could no longer wield a blade. They both knew his arm would never heal, and Hijikata's desperate defense of his friend had likely only made Sannan feel worse.
あら、私としたことが失礼いたしました。その腕が治るのであれば何よりですか？
Ito's smile fooled no one, and Sannan fell silent. He only muttered it under his breath, but I was close enough to hear. Too late, Hijikata had realized his mistake. ... This was the first time I'd seen Hijikata so worked up. He might have been harsh, but he almost always projected an air of control. Perhaps Sannan's injury worried him enough to allow the mask to slip.
伊藤さん。
Kondo was clearly choosing his words carefully in a very nearly desperate attempt to change the subject.
もしよければ大使たちの稽古でも見学に行きませんかね。
Ito's eyes narrowed and his mouth curled in a small smile.
まあ素敵なお誘いですね。ぜひご一緒させていただきますわ。男たちの汗臭さへ浸りに行くのも実に愉快なことじゃございませんか。
汗臭さですか。確かに道場は熱気がこもってるかもしれませんな。
Ito could be a very peculiar person. The two men left the room, chatting together as if nothing was wrong, and all eyes turned towards Sannan.
三男さん、あんな奴の言うことなんざ気にする必要ねえからな。
Sannan said nothing. He stood up silently and left the room.
三男さんもかわいそうだよな。最近は大使連中からも避けられてる。
What? It was the first I'd heard of such a thing, but then again I didn't normally see anyone but the captains. I had no idea.
誰に対してもあの調子だからな。大使も怯えちまって近寄りたがらねえんだ。
It wasn't hard for me to see why they would feel that way. Sannan had gotten even worse in the last several weeks.
昔はああじゃなかったんだけどな。表面的には親切で面倒見が良かったし。
だな。あんなに優しかった外面が今は見る影もねえや。
Dot dot dot. Do you really mean that? The way they spoke, it sounded as if any kindness Sannan had shown was always a facade.
近藤さんもなんだってあんなのが気に入ったんですかね。
I'm gonna guess money. Okita and Hijikata had largely ignored Nagakura and Harada, but their faces were dark and stormy. It wasn't difficult to guess why.
んなこと俺が知るかよ。どうせ口先三寸で丸め込まれたんだろ
じゃあ土方さんが返品してきてくださいよ。新選組にこんなのいりませんって。
Dot dot dot. Hijikata let out a frustrated sigh and pinched the bridge of his nose.
近藤さんが許可するわけねえだろう。すっかり伊藤に浸水してるみてえだしな。伊藤と一緒に加入した連中もそんな扱いされちゃ黙ってねえだろう。
Hijikata was right. He didn't like it any more than Okita did, but they were in a tight spot.
役に立たない人だな。無茶を通すのが鬼副長の仕事でしょうに。
だったら掃除、てめえが副長やれ。んで、伊藤派の連中を屯所から追い出せ。
嫌ですよ、そんなめんどくさいの。
He gave a grin as he laughed, but when he finished, he sighed and his face fell. Dot dot dot. It looked like everyone was unhappy with Ito, but none of them knew quite what to do about him. Do you dislike Ito too, Saito? I'd noticed earlier that he'd kept quiet while the others commiserated, and I was curious what he thought. He looked at me for a moment, then spoke.
さまざまな考えを持つ者が所属してこそ組織は広がりを見せるものだ。
Then, was he supporting Ito's appointment to deputy commander? I was about to ask when he continued speaking.
しかし無理な多様化を進めれば内部から瓦解を始める可能性もある。
Dot dot dot. His words hung in the air, a dark omen for the future of the Shinsengumi. It was considerate of Ito to join, but his presence seemed to be a recipe for dissension, if not outright disaster. The setting sun glowed through the windows with a warm, rich red, and we decided to move outside in the hope that it might raise our spirits. It's cold. Despite the sun, it seemed that spring was still far away. Dot dot dot. I wasn't too fond of Ito, but it was Sannan and his condition that truly worried me. I really wish his arm would just heal. That arm, or perhaps more accurately the lack of it, had been the source of his change in personality. Still, as nice as it would be for Sannan's arm to simply start working again, that seemed like the stuff of a child's fable, not real life. That was when I remembered.
薬でも何でも使ってもらうしかないですね。三男さんも納得してくれるんじゃないかな。
掃除。めったなこと言うもんじゃねえ。幹部が新選組入りしてどうするんだよ。
The Shinsengumi had some sort of something. I didn't know what it did exactly, or even what sort of thing it was, but from the way they all talked about it, there was some manner of very unpleasant side effect. No, wait, I do remember something. Yes, from what I'd heard, it seemed that it had the capacity to heal wounds, and had something to do with the core. And it's also something I'm not supposed to know about. If they learned how much I'd picked up, or what I'd put together on my own, I had no doubt that I would be in serious trouble. It was possible that they would even kill me. Still, if I could figure any of it out, perhaps I could do something to help. I am the daughter of a well-educated doctor, after all. I like to think that I had a little more knowledge of medicine than the average person. The question remained then, what should I do? For our darling Harada-san, we are going to return to my room. Perhaps it would be best to just return to my room. I didn't want to get in trouble for wandering around, and I didn't want to find myself in anyone's way. I'll just stay here. It was rather dull, certainly, but better a dull evening than the alternative. Just as the sun dipped below the horizon, the compound exploded with activity. Had something happened? I waited for a few moments for the activity to settle down, but it did no such thing. ... Something was wrong. I could feel it. I struggled against it for as long as I could, but eventually my curiosity got the better of me. There must be someone in the common room. I can ask them.
まさか三男君が自ら薬に手を出すとはな。
なるべく三男さんの動きに注意してろって言ったじゃねえか。
Hijikata's voice echoed out from the common room, quietly furious. I tried to get their attention, but instinct had driven me to the very corner of the room, and they neither saw nor heard.
部屋を出てったのには気づいてた。けど、薬を飲むとは思わねえだろ、普通。
Okay, like, listen, I know localization and stuff, but I heard what he said in Japanese, and he just said he drank the medicine. Kusuri o nomu? Like, how, that's not even mentioned in this little phrase right here. So, negative points to Axis, even though I love you for bringing this game anyway. Alright, continuing on.
変なもん持ってたようには見えなかったか。薬を管理してたのはあの人だもんな。
Nagakura was angry, certainly, but it wasn't all directed outward.
自分が使う量くらいなら簡単に用意できたってことか。確かにあの薬を使えば腕の治る可能性もあるんだろうが、あれは失敗作なんだろう。飲んだ連中もみんな血に狂っちまった。
At last I began to understand. Sannan had taken some of whatever treatment it was the Shinsengumi were so desperate to keep secret.
三男総長は独自に薬の改良を続けていたと聞きます。理性を保ったまま腕を感知させる、その成功にかけたのでしょうが。
He gave a small shrug.
失敗を悟った三男総長は掃除の静止も聞かず自陣に臨んだと。
Suicide? The words were past my lips before I'd even thought them. As one, all eyes in the room turned toward me.
なんでお前がここにいるんだ。
It was an accusation, not a question. The longer his cold gaze kept me pinned, the tighter my throat became, until I could barely breathe, let alone speak. The strange combination of anxiety, suspicion, and animosity that I had felt before, on the night I'd first come to the headquarters of the Shinsengumi. Now, as then, I understood the meaning of that gaze. They were deciding whether or not to kill me.
なあトシ、そろそろ彼女にも話してやっていいんじゃないか。行動さんの娘なら知る権利もあるだろう。
I felt my eyes go wide at the mention of my father's name. Hijikata's gaze slid to Kondo, and he looked as if he'd eaten something unpleasant. After a moment, however, he gave a long, exasperated sigh and turned back to me.
お前は新選組に必要ない。
Burn. What?
行動さん探しには役立つかもしれねえが、お前がいなくても多少不便になるだけだ。
Although it wasn't their primary duty, the Shinsengumi had the watch for when a manhunt was necessary. Someone who knew the target, such as myself, would make their job easier, but that was all. I was no more than a means to an end, and one of questionable value at that. He was right. They didn't need me.
不穏な動きがあれば即座に殺される立場だ。そうてめえの肝に銘じてから話を聞け。
I swallowed. Then you aren't going to kill me? Hijikata narrowed his eyes.
まだ殺さねえよ。もっともいつ死のうと困らねえがな。
Oh. It was sort of acceptance. I was glad, I suppose, that I wasn't going to be killed, but I was still far from happy. I'd been with the Shinsengumi for nearly a year, and my position with them hadn't changed. It shouldn't have surprised me, but for some reason that truth cut deep.
今までは君にも伏せていたのだが、行動さんはもともと薬の開発が担当でな。
You mean... I chose my words carefully. The one that Sannan took? When Kondo nodded, it was as if there was a great weight resting on him.
この薬はもともと幕府の高官が持ち込んだものだ。
He explained that the concoction was said to have come originally from the west. Apparently the shogunate had ties to countries across the ocean.
人間の筋力と自然治癒能力を爆発的に高める渡来の薬物。
Moreover, he continued, it had the capability to increase a man's strength tenfold, though the increased strength would make him slower. It also granted incredible healing powers, but piercing the heart or brain would still kill.
ただし副作用として投与された人間の精神は崩壊する。
It made sense now that I thought about it. That must have been what they meant by bloodlust.
新選組の大使を実験台に薬の改良を進めていたのが行動さんだ。
My father was experimenting on people? I'd suspected that my father had been involved in whatever the Shinsengumi had been hiding from me, but to discover that he had been experimenting on people, making them go mad, it was almost too much to bear. Then, that night in the alley, Harada nodded.
薬を飲んだ奴らは前川邸にいる。血に触れない限りはおとなしくしてるし、俺らにとっちゃ御しやすい奴らだ。
If they were powerful but lacked any skill or technique, then it was a simple thing for the captains to deal with those who got out of line.
幕府のお偉いさんからこの計画は秘密裏に進めるよう言われてる。
In the Yagi house, we lived side by side with the Yagi family, which meant the rank-and-file soldiers weren't allowed to live there as well. The Maekawa family, by contrast, had fled their house as soon as the Shinsengumi had arrived, making it the perfect place to conceal the soldiers who'd gone mad.
説明はそのくらいにしとけ。今は三男さんのことが先決だろうが。
His words made it clear that my education was at an end.
あの薬は改良されてるんだ。まだクルーと決まったわけじゃね
え。でもよ、今の三男さんは死にかけてるじゃねえか。
That's right. Hadn't Sannan tried to kill himself?
薬が作用してるんなら、どんな怪我だって治るはずだろうが。
Hijikata's voice was low, almost a growl. Even from across the room, I felt like I could hear his teeth grinding.
近藤さん、あんたは三男さんを見といてくれるか。どうせ今夜は峠だろう。生きるか死ぬか来るからな。
うん、行ってこよう。確か彼の部屋には掃除もいるのだったな。
Kondo nodded towards Hijikata as he stood and made his way to Sannan's room.
三男さんの部屋へは誰も近づけるな。それが伊藤派の連中ならなおさらだ。
Ito and his men weren't terribly fond of the shogun, so it stood to reason that Hijikata wouldn't want them finding out about the shogunate's secret experiments. Even apart from that, however, it was clear that Hijikata and the rest of the captains trusted Ito about as far as they could throw him.
新八、前川邸の様子を見てきてくれ。
ああ、わかった。
As he passed, Nagakura's eyes met mine for an instant, and I saw in them the same hostility I'd felt the night I arrived.
斉藤は中庭で待機しろ。伊藤一派の警戒と牽制を頼む。佐之助は八木邸の外に出て、大使たちの動きを見張ってくれ。
Saito and Harada nodded. At last, Hijikata turned to look at me.
お前も今は幹部のそばにいろ。
All right. In other words, he wanted to make sure I was supervised. Reasonable, I suppose, given the situation, but who did I want to go with?
前川邸はやめとけよ。連中、夜は気が立ってるからな。
Nagakura was on his way to the Maekawa house, where the men who'd taken the shogun's concoction were kept. ... It didn't really sound like somewhere I wanted to go. That left the inner courtyard with Saito, or the outside with Harada. Hijikata hadn't said differently, so I assumed he would remain in the common room. After a moment's thought, I'd made up my mind. I want to go Outside. I'm really hoping that was the right choice. I thought it was. Yeah, we good. We good, guys. The cold night air was harsh in my throat, but after the excitement earlier, cooling my head a bit seemed like a good idea.
元気出せ。
He gave me a grin and a friendly nudge on the shoulder. Thanks. It was a small gesture, but I couldn't deny it made me feel a little better.
けど、土方さんの言うことは正しい。だから、殺されるような行動は取るな。
Yes, right.
他に気がかりなのは三男さんか。かなり追い詰められてたしな。
Yes. There wasn't much else I could say. I wasn't one of them after all. Who knew how much they would tolerate me meddling in their affairs?
生き残ってほしいんだが。まあ、ダメだった時に死ぬのは簡単だしな。
He gave a short laugh and then was silent for a while. ... Hadn't Harada tried to kill himself too, long before I'd met him?
生きてれば楽しいこともたくさんあるさ。けど、薬はあの人を変えちまうんだろうな。
He was doing his best to be calm and nonchalant, but he couldn't hide the current of worry in his voice. What's going to happen to him? To Sannan, I mean. Instead of an answer, I got another grin and a pat on the head.
ま、大丈夫だ。なんとかなるだろう。
I sensed the conversation was over and was silent, but worry continued to follow me like a cloud. At long last, morning came. One by one, the captains returned to the common room, tired and bleary-eyed from their long night. It was Inoue's entrance that broke the silence.
峠は越えたようだよ。
The room breathed a silent sigh of relief.
今はまだ寝てる。静かなもんだ。
三男さん、狂っちまってるのかい。
Inoue simply shook his head.
確かなことは起きるまでわからんな。見た目には昨日までと変わらないんだが。
That was when the door slid open.
おはようございます。皆さん。
The tension that had relaxed at Inoue's entrance pulled tight as a drum. At least I thought they don't do this when I just walk into a room. Then I realized I was comparing myself to Ito and wondered why on earth I would do something like that.
あら、顔色が優れませんのね。昨晩の騒ぎと何か関係がありまして？
His position wasn't just the result of politics then. There would be no simply ignoring the incident, it appeared.
いや、そうだな。
Desperately, Kondo's eyes flew around the room, looking for someone who might give him a story.
よし、ごまかせ、佐野。
あ、俺が？実は昨日。
大根役者は出しゃばらないでくれるかな。
Okita's smile was bitter and thin. They sat back down.
そういうことは説明の上手な人に任せましょうね。
He looked at Saito expectantly, and the other man nodded once.
伊藤参謀がお察しの通り、昨晩屯所内にて事件が発生しました。
Man, his outfit just, I mean, he should be in bleach. I know that's like what he wears, but he just looks like a member of the Shinigami. Sorry, going on. Furthermore, he continued, the situation was grim. Saito then proceeded to outline as much of the truth as he could, his eyes never wavering from Ito's face.
参謀のお心に負荷をかけてしまう結果は我々も望むところではありません。
By way of apology, he made a short bow.
今晩にでも改めた場を設け、お伝えさせていただきたく存じます。
まあ。
Ito's eyes narrowed and he looked slowly around the hall, a mischievous smile playing about his lips.
事情は分かりましたよ。今晩のお呼ばれ、心待ちにしておりますわ。
With another strange smile, Ito stood, nodded slightly, and left the room.
なんだか見逃してもらえたみたいだけど、もしかして斉藤君の対応が気に入ったのかな？
What? Yes, Saito had been respectful and, at least on the surface, forthcoming, both of which had likely pleased Ito, but what had he meant about letting it slide?
幹部が勢ぞろいしてる場に三男さんだけいねえんだぞ。
I looked at him, confused.
あの人絡みで何か起きたってことぐらい伊藤ならすぐカンパできんだろうが。
Oh. Then Ito had likely guessed at what had taken place, but decided not to press the issue. I was beginning to see what Kondo saw in him. There was certainly no doubt that he was clever and observant. Ah! 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 Which one? Which one? Let's go with ah! I had looked up just in time to see Sannan shuffle through the door. His face was pale, but apart from that, he looked much like he always had.
三男さん、起きてていいのかい？
Sannan's only response was a small, sad smile.
少し気だるいようですね。これも薬の副作用でしょう。あの薬を飲んでしまうと日中の活動が困難になりますから。
In other words, it was working. Sannan was already transformed.
私はもう人間ではありません。
He smiled.
だ、君が生きていてくれてよかった。俺たちはそれで十分だと。
I could see the beginnings of tears well up in Kondo's eyes, but the rest of the men were more reserved. They were happy to see their friend alive, but what had his resurrection cost him?
それで腕は治ったんですか？
まだ本調子ではありませんから自分でもよくわからないのですが。
He lifted his left arm, the arm that the day before had hung limp at his side, and flexed his hand.
治っているようですね。少なくとも不便がない程度には。
Thank goodness. If he had gone through all of that just to find his arm still lame and useless.
今の三男さんは昼間に弱いんだろう。そんな状態でタイムに参加できんのか？
If daylight drained one's energy, then living a normal life would be difficult enough, never mind fighting alongside the Shinsengumi.
私は死んだことにすればいい。
His voice was calm, almost careless.
これから私は薬の成功例として新選組を束ねていこうと思っています。
それ本気か？自分が何言ってるのか分かってんのか？
分かっていますとも。長倉君こそ忘れたのですか？我々は薬の存在を伏せるよう幕府から命じられているのですよ。
Nagakura fell silent.
私さえ死んだことにすれば今までのように薬の存在は隠し通せる。
Leaving no room for argument, he continued.
薬から副作用が消えるのであればそれを使わない手はないでしょう。
To a man, they were against his idea, though none of them said anything. Who would want to consign a friend to a life of secrecy lived in the shadows?
そもそも薬の実験は幕府からのお達しでもあるしな。
Sannan's suggestion might not have been pleasant, but it was logical. The drug was dangerous, yes, but if it could be refined, the side effects removed, it would be a powerful tool, a powerful weapon.
それしかないか。
And with his word, it was decided.
三男さんが自分で選んだ道ですし、せめて責任を持って進んでください。
It wasn't exactly a vote of confidence, but Sannan simply responded with a smile.
短所移転の話、冗談では済まされなくなったな。三男さんを伊藤派の目から隠すには広い短所が必要だ。今のままでは狭すぎる。
Saito nodded.
薬による増強計画を立てるのであればなおのこと移転を急ぐべきかと思います。
Sannan's fate decided, they turned to a discussion of where they might make their new headquarters. ... Whatever my status was, it did not extend to being included in that discussion. Living with the Shinsengumi for the past year had been quite an experience. Lately I'd felt that perhaps it wasn't so bad, and my life had become almost fun. But the truth I couldn't escape was that I was only valuable to them because of my connection to my father, a truth they had made painfully clear to me. These men had lived with one another for years. My own time with them amounted to little more than a drop in the bucket. They had no reason to treat me as anything more than a casual prisoner, or at best a serving girl. I'd reminded myself of that countless times, but it only served to deepen my sense of loneliness. You've been with them a year and been useless. Make yourself useful. Alright, June 1865. What's gonna happen in June? At least it's warm again. What were we at before? We were in February. Okay. Ooh, sexy saxophone MIDI music. Alright. It had been 3 months since we'd moved the headquarters to Nishi, Hongwanji. There's a lot more room, but more room meant, well, farther to walk. I'd walked through it nearly every day for several weeks, and I was finally beginning to learn my way around. As I turned a corner near the back of the compound, I caught sight of someone sitting in the shadows. There you are, Sannan. Your food's ready.
Ah, kimi deshita ka.
Oops, he said arigato. I cut it off, sorry. The snow had disappeared, the cherry blossoms had bloomed and fled, and now the swallows and the heat had come. Sannan and I exchanged a pair of smiles, and I held out my hands to let the breeze brush across them. It's really gotten warm lately.
まあ今の私には風より日差しの強さの方が勘に触りますがね。
Really? I hadn't thought the sun was particularly strong that day, but to Sannan, who had to hide in the shadows or stay indoors during the day, it must have seemed unbearable. The night he'd changed, Sannan's hair had turned white, and in his eyes had been a thirst for blood. ... But to look at his peaceful smile now, it was hard to imagine that that night had even been real. If someone had taken me aside and said it was all a bad dream, I would have believed them. It hadn't been a dream though, and now Sannan spends his days avoiding being seen and hiding from the sunlight. The Shinsengumi's greatest secret. Here it is. For just a moment, the sun lit on Sannan's hair. I don't know if it was a trick of the light or simply my mind being foolish, but in that moment, his hair was a brilliant white. Ah!
どうかしましたか？幽霊でも見るような目で人を見るのは礼儀上あまり良いこととも思えませんが。
Oh, no, nothing at all. He looked perfectly normal now, of course. Surely, I thought, I must have simply imagined it. Even if I had, there was no denying that he was the same man who had gone mad with bloodlust. It was unnerving. Heisuke and I made our way through the crowded as-usual streets of Kyoto at a brisk pace. You know, I haven't gone out on patrol with you in quite a while, Heisuke.
ああ、そっかもな。俺長いこと江戸に行ってたし。俺が留守中、新八さんとか佐野さんにいじめられたりしなかったか？
No, they were perfect gentlemen. I'm fine. I couldn't manage to suppress a short giggle. They look out for me when we're out on patrol, but I still haven't found any information about my father, though.
江戸にあるお前の家の場所聞いてたから、俺も立ち寄ってはみたんだけどな。
He couldn't seem to find the words he was looking for, and instead just kicked at a clump of dirt in frustration. Oh, well, thank you for taking the time to look anyway. Heisuke looked up in time to see my face fall, and gave me a good-natured pat on the shoulder.
まあ、元気出せって。そのうちひょっこり会えるかもしれないし。
You're right. Besides, you're all helping me look, so I've got to find him sooner or later. But what about you? You haven't been back to Kyoto in a while.
そうだな。街も人も結構変わった気がするな。
Heisuke? The smile he'd put on to cheer me up a moment ago was gone. Nostalgia and melancholy weren't like him.
Huh?
Heisuke's head jerked up a fraction of a degree, and he looked across the street. He stood up on his toes and waved.
お、ソジ！そっちはどうだった？
Subtle.
別に何も普段通りだね。
Okita was out on patrol as well, although his route took him through a different part of the city than ours. He gave me a short nod of acknowledgement, then looked back toward Heisuke with a snicker.
でも将軍上洛の時には忙しくなるんじゃないかな。
The Shogun's coming to visit Kyoto?
そうだから近藤さんも張り切ってるよ。
If the Shogun was visiting, that was a chance for the Shinsengumi to be noticed. Kondo's reaction to that possibility was easy to imagine. I giggled.
ああ、うん。近藤さんはそうだろう
That didn't seem like Heisuke. Had something happened that I didn't know about? I looked over to Okita, hoping that he might help, but... Okita? Are you alright? His face was tight with pain and his coughing was getting worse. He glanced up, but his gaze swept past me and across the street. His eyes narrowed at something behind me, and I turned in time to see a Ronin stumble backwards.
おい小娘、断るとはどういう了見だ。
やめてください。話して。
民草のために日々上位を論ずる我ら志士に尺の一つや二つ、むしろ自分からするのが当然であろうが。
Across the street, a clump of men, perhaps 3 or 4, were harassing a young girl. I didn't know what they were up to, but it didn't look pleasant. We have to help her! I felt Heisuke tense up next to me.
わかってるって。お前はここで待っ。
Before he could finish, a flash of blue cloth shot past us, towards the dangerous knot of men.
やれやれ、上位って言葉も君たちに使われるんじゃかわいそうだよ。
The usual crowds shuffled away from Okita and the men as quickly as they could. None of them wanted to be nearby once words were put away and swords unsheathed. The Ronin's eyes found Okita's jacket, and the men stiffened.
浅黄色の羽織、新選組か。
知ってるなら話は早いよね。どうする？
His lips curled back into a predatory smile as his hand fell to the haft of his sword. There was no mirth in that rictus grin, and the Ronin's faces abruptly grew several shades paler. They were only somewhat deflated, however, not entirely punctured, and their ringleader made one more attempt.
くそ、幕府の犬が。
いいからとっとと失せろって。
The sight of 2 of the Shinsengumi's notorious blue jackets standing shoulder to shoulder was apparently enough of an argument for the Ronin. The last of the color drained from their faces, and they turned tail and ran. You aren't going after them? Arrest them?
どんな罪で？君は意外と過激だな。
Dot dot dot. He was right, of course. They'd had crime on their minds, certainly, but they hadn't actually committed one. Iron Fist?
何しょげてるんだよ。それよりほら。
私、南雲薫と申します。助けていただいてありがとうございました。
I watched as the girl gave Okita a quick bow. She was so refined, so ladylike. Even dressed like a girl, I doubted I could ever be as elegant as her. I'd only just begun to feel sorry for myself when suddenly I felt a hand on my arm. Okita?
いいから、この子の横に立って。
He shoved me next to the girl we'd just rescued, then stepped back to stroke his chin thoughtfully. Okita? I glanced nervously toward the girl and gave her my best attempt at a smile under the circumstances. The smile she gave me in return was beautiful, but there was something about it that seemed odd.
やっぱりよく似てるね、二人とも。
He seemed to be talking mostly to himself, but as soon as the words left his mouth, I realized what had seemed odd to me. We look alike? We look like? However you want to phrase that. We look like... No, it was more than that. We were too much alike. It was almost as if I were looking into a mirror, but a mirror with a will of its own, and wearing much better clothes. The longer I looked at her, the more uncomfortable I felt. I shuddered.
そうか？俺は全然似てないと思うけどな。
いや、似てるよ。きっとこの子が女装したらそっくりになると思うな。
The girl, Kaoru, was looking straight at me, as if she hadn't heard a word Okita had said. ... I had to say something, but what? Perhaps she saw through my confusion, or perhaps it was something else.
もっときちんとお礼をしたいのですけれど、今は所用がありまして。ご無礼、ご容赦くださいね。
She bowed quickly to Okita.
このご恩はまたいずれ。新選組の沖田総司さん。
And with that, the girl who called herself Kaoru disappeared into the crowds of Kyoto, although the unease her presence had created in me remained. With a mischievous grin, Heisuke dug a playful elbow into Okita's ribs.
おいおい、あれ掃除に気でもあるんじゃねえの？
今のがそう見えるんじゃ、平介君は一生佐野さんとかに勝てないよね。
どういう意味だよ？
Their back and forth continued, but my mind was elsewhere. Last night's rain had left a number of puddles on the road, and when I looked into them, I saw a strange girl who looked just like me. Kaoru, huh? Wind caught the surface of the puddle, sending a flurry of ripples across it. My face quirked into a small smile, but the face in the puddle didn't smile back. That's kind of creepy.
そろそろ帰ろうぜ。
Alright, I'm coming! Wasting no more time on a puddle, I turned and ran towards Heisuke and Okita, already on their way back to headquarters. The temple was much larger than the compound in Mibu, as advertised. The entire Shinsengumi could gather in the new common room with space to spare. As Kondo spoke, his voice echoed grandly throughout the hall.
皆も徳川第14代将軍徳川家持公が上洛されるという話は聞き及んでいると思う。その上洛に伴い公が二条城に入られるまで新選組総力をもって警護の任に当たるべしとの要請を受けた。
Fun fact, I've been to Nijo Castle. The Shinsengumi? Guard the Shogun? Almost immediately, the room exploded in cheers.
池田屋や金門の変の件を見て、さすがのお偉方も俺らの働きを認めざるを得なかったんだろうよ。
警護中は文字通りの意味で僕らの刀に国の行く末がかかってるなんてね。
He let out a snort of laughter as he spoke, but there was something in what he had said that put me on edge. Then again, it wasn't as if I'd be going to guard the Shogun.
上洛の警護とはまた。もしも三男さんが生きていれば、本当に惜しい人を亡くしましたね。
They'd never told Ito the truth about Sannan. In fact, the entire incident surrounding his transformation had been covered up. Only a few of the men of the Shinsengumi knew the truth. Perhaps Kondo felt guilty for deceiving him, because I saw a brief flicker of bitterness cross his face before he spoke.
ともあれ、これから忙しくなる。まずは大使の編成を考えねばなるまいな。そうだな。俺とトシ、ソウジ。
だるい近藤さん。宗司は今回外してやってくれねえか。風邪気味みてえだからな。
ん？そうなのか。ソウジ、大丈夫か？
自分では別に問題ないと思うんですけどね。土方さんは大げさすぎるから。
問題ないじゃねえよ。さっきも咳してただろうが。
やれやれ。土方さんは過保護すぎるんですよ。
His smile had turned a little bitter as he spoke, but he looked fine. Perhaps Hijikata was just being overprotective. I didn't have much time to dwell on it, however, before... Heisuke?
ああ、近藤さん。実は俺もちょっと調子が。
なんだ、平助も風邪か。せっかくの晴れ舞台、全員揃って将軍様を迎えたかったのだがな。
あ、すいません。
いや、体調は大事だな。体調はいずれまた機会もあるであろうし、二人はその時存分に働いてもらいたい。
He did his best to simply wave it off, but it was easy to see his genuine concern for Okita and Heisuke. Once he had finished inspecting the rest of the soldiers and sending them off on their assignments, Hijikata turned to me.
で、お前はどうすんだ？ほうけてるんじゃねえよ。お前は警護に参加するのかって聞いてんだ。
I can go too?
無論構わないとも。君も今や新選組の一員と言っても過言ではない。よかったらぜひ参加してくれ。
Could I? Could I really go? I hesitated for a moment, confused, and Okita and Heisuke laughed.
まあ身の心配はないと思うよ。将軍を狙う不届きな輩はそうはいないから。
行ってみるのもいいんじゃねえの？切った張ったの騒ぎにはならないだろうし。
It didn't seem quite fair to me that I wasn't even a soldier and I could go, while they were stuck back at the compound. Still, I'd felt drained lately with the lack of information we'd been able to uncover about my father. Perhaps this would be just the thing to cheer me up. I'll go! Perhaps the excitement of the occasion was infectious, as I felt a steel in my spine that hadn't been there before. If so, however, it appeared Hijikata was immune.
お前にやってもらうことは伝令とか主に使いっ走りだがな。
Right, left, right, left. My footsteps echoed softly through the night. Ow, my legs are starting to cramp up. I decided it was best I take a short break and stop to look up at the castle. In the early days of the Tokugawa shogunate, Nijo Castle had been a place for the shogun to stay on his way to the capital. It had been a while since the shogun had actually stayed in it, though. We'd met the shogun on the road and begun our escort about 30 minutes earlier, and had arrived at the castle relatively recently. By now, I imagined Kondo, Nagakura, Inoue, and the men were greeting the officials and other important people in the shogun's retinue. Well, I've got a job to do. Well, I've got a job to do, too. More specifically, it was my job to tell all the soldiers when to change shifts and generally carry messages back and forth. A glorified errand girl, in other words. This means I'm not totally useless, right? Time to get back to work then. Even a short walk around Nijo Castle was enough to see several blue jackets, all of them on guard, none of them nervous or anxious. Well, of course, after all, the castle's really well guarded. Only an idiot would try to... A sudden chill ran down the length of my spine. I froze. I knew the feeling. 2 feet of cold steel waiting to find their way into you. Eyes shining with a lust for blood and violence. I'd never hoped to find myself accustomed to such a horrible thing, but in the time since I'd begun living with the Shinsengumi, I'd felt it more than once. I suppose they would have called what I felt radiating from the shadows bloodlust. My eyes were drawn up toward the roof, where no normal person would ever think to look. A large wall cast a shadow, shielding a section of the roof from the moonlight. There they stood. Dun dun dun! You!
気づいたか。さほど鈍いというわけでもないようだな。
They looked very distinctive, unlike any soldiers I'd ever seen before, but 3 sets of piercing eyes scattered my thoughts and made it difficult for me to think. I had recognized them. Now I had to put names to faces. Chikage Kazama. Kyuju Amagiri. Kyo Shiranui. They were connected somehow to both the Satsuma and the Choshu, and they'd made an effort to impede the Shinsengumi at Ikeda and again at Hamaguri. Whoever they were, they did not belong at the Shogun's castle. Why are you here?
あ？なんでってのが方法を言ってんなら答えは簡単だ。俺ら鬼の一族には人が作る障害なんざ意味をなさねえんだよ。
Interesting that he calls her little girl. I don't know if they made that he knows or I don't know. Interesting.
そう。私たちはある目的のためにここに来た。君を探していたのです。
I don't understand. A demon? What do you mean? And why are you here for... No, you must be joking.
鬼を知らぬ。本気でそんなことを言っているのか。我が腹からともあろうものが。
He stepped forward, the shadows following him like a cloak. When Amagiri spoke, it was calm and peaceful, as if he were trying to reason with a frightened child.
君はすぐに怪我が治りませんか？
What?
波の人間とは思えないぐらい怪我の治りが早くありませんか？
Well, I couldn't bring myself to answer that, so I pursed my lips and remained silent instead. Shiranui's eyes narrowed.
ああ？なんなら血ぶちまけて証明した方が早いか？
Dot.
よせ知らぬい。否定しようが肯定しようが、どのみち俺たちの行動は変わらん。
His eyes dropped to the kodachi at my waist.
多くは語らん。鬼を示す生徒、東の鬼の子たち。それのみで証拠としては十分に過ぎる。
My family name? What was wrong with Yukimura? I didn't understand what he was saying, but that didn't stop the cold sweat that I could feel inching down my spine. It felt almost as though the darkness itself was coming for me.
言っておくが、お前を連れて行くのに同意など必要としていない。女鬼は貴重だ。共に来い。
His hand stretched out from the darkness, pale and grasping, like the tentacle of some hideous subterranean monster. Then, out of nowhere, a blade flickered through the night.
おいおい、こんな色気のない場所、合いびきにしちゃ趣味が悪いぜ。
Do they just all broadcast that I'm a chick now? Also, I apologize if you hear random yelling. Rob is playing Monster Hunter and he gets enthusiastic.
またお前たちか。田舎の犬は目端だけは聞くと見える。
それはこちらのセリフだ。
Sword and spear glinted in the moonlight, and Kazama stepped back, momentarily stymied. Harada! Saito! My legs felt suddenly weak, as if the now shattered tension had been the only thing keeping me standing. I teetered backwards, my balance momentarily lost. A strong, sinewy hand caught me and pulled me back, its grip hard as steel.
下がっている。
Hijikata! One hand guided me around behind him, even as the other drew his sword.
将軍の首でも取りに来たかと思えば、こんなガキ一人に一体何の用だ。
将軍も貴様らも今はどうでもいい。これは我ら鬼の問題だ。
鬼だと？
His eyes narrowed.
こいつの面を拝むのは禁門の変以来だな。
As Harada drew his spear back to a ready position, I saw Shiranui's hand move toward the gun on his hip.
再会という意味ではこちらも同じくだ。
Saito's hand tightened around his sword, and Amagiri's feet shifted into a stronger stance. Tension hung in the air so thick I could scarcely breathe. They were a powder keg ready to explode. Even the slightest movement could be enough to set them off. As slowly as I could, I moved my trembling hand toward the hilt of my kodachi. I'd nearly reached it when a voice whispered in my ear. Yamazaki, when did you... He'd appeared as silently and invisibly as if he had been a shadow himself. Then you're telling me to run away? It was true that if I remained, it was unlikely I could actually be of help to anyone. What should I do to make Harada love me? I want to remain here. I'm going to stay here. Yamazaki's brow twitched momentarily in surprise. I know that staying here might not be the smartest idea. And I know that I probably won't be able to help. In fact, I might even get in their way. But I have to. I'm sorry. They'd called me a demon and told me to come with them. I still didn't know what they'd meant by that. I needed to know the truth. What? Yamazaki reached for my arm, ready to take me with him by force. His hand had nearly reached me when I felt a bolt of lightning race up my spine. I spun around to see Shiranui, his hands wrapped tight around the grip of his pistol, and his eyes aflame with the heat of a blacksmith's forge.
Hey, 待てって。お姫さんが残るっつってんだろ。振られたのに邪魔してんじゃねえよ。
With his last word, Shiranui launched himself toward us, just as Harada leapt to intercept him.
やれやれ。時に拙速はコーチに勝りますが、知らぬいの手の速さも考えものですね。
そういうあんたも止めなかったようだがな。
Saito and Amagiri had maneuvered nearly into striking distance of one another.
くそ、何やってんだ。
The brewing fight had gone from a brawl to a set of 3 duels. Hijikata threw me an angry look before turning to glare at Kazuma. I stood as still as I could manage. I knew that if I leapt into the fight, I would do everyone, including myself, more harm than good. After all, what chance did I have against someone who could defeat Okita or Heisuke?
心配すんな。
His spear held down and at the ready, he maneuvered himself between me and our attackers.
おいおい、邪魔する気か？そいつは得策じゃねえな。
As he spoke, I could see Shiranui loosen his gun in its holster. He finished by tossing a smug grin at Harada, who returned it in kind. Despite all of Harada's bravado, however, there was still too much distance between them, with the gun's advantage.
俺様の銃とお前の槍。 この距離でどっちが有利か見てわかんねえほどバカなのか?
Harada. Before I could finish, Harada moved. In a swift motion, he swept his foot across the ground, throwing up a small cloud of dust, and launched a small rock straight at Shiranui's gun.
バカはお前だ。余裕かまして油断してんじゃねえよ。
面白い。
Shiranui dodged the rock, and in that moment where his gun was wavered off its target, Harada charged. They froze, mirror images of one another, each with a weapon poised to deliver a killing blow. I could almost see their intensity rolling off of them in shimmering waves, like heat from a roaring furnace. Even their faces were mirrored, each with a playful grin, as if they were only friends having some fun.
その銃、飾りってわけでもねえんだろう。なんで使わない？
はっ、銃声を聞きつけたつまんねえ奴らに水を刺されたくねえからな。
I couldn't imagine how they could be smiling and laughing. If the spear tip moved even a fraction of an inch, or Shiranui's finger slipped on the trigger, that would be it. I stood frozen, waiting to see who would yield or die first. It was Shiranui who lowered his gun.
なかなか刺激的で楽しかったぜ。 今度はもっと余裕のある時に会いてえもんだ。
男からの誘いなんざごめんだね。
Both men stepped back, their fight clearly finished.
これ以上の戦いは無意味ですな。長引いて強が乗っても困るでしょう。
His voice was calm, as deep and harsh as two boulders grinding together. It doesn't seem calm.
俺様のことを言ってんのか？おいおい、引き際は心得てるつもりだぜ。
Kazama looked at his companions momentarily, then nodded.
確かに確認は叶った以上長居をする必要もあるまい。今日は挨拶をしに来ただけだからな。
むざむざ逃がすと思うか。
くだらん虚勢はやめておけ。貴様らはまだしも騒ぎを聞きつけて集まった雑魚どもは何人死ぬか知れたものではないぞ。
There was no doubt that Kazama and his companions were powerful. There was no edge of arrogance in his voice, only cold fact. They left silently, fading into the darkness, but as he did, Kazama spoke to me one last time.
いずれまた近いうちに迎えに行く。待っているがいい。
He was far out of arm's reach, but his words felt as if they brushed against my cheek, cold and threatening. A shiver ran up my spine.
大丈夫か？
I took the hand Harada offered and pulled myself to my feet. Hijikata was still staring intently out into the darkness, but when he spoke, it was to me.
おい、お前、あいつらに狙われる心当たりでもあるのか？
I hesitated. They had said I was one of them. Kazama had invited me to go with him. Had he been telling the truth? I didn't know. I'm not sure. There was really nothing more I could say. So much had happened. My mind spun, full to bursting. Once the rest of the men returned, there was a meeting among the captains. The subject of that meeting was the three men who'd appeared at Nijo Castle, Chikage Kazuma, Kyuju Amagiri, and Kyo Shiranui. They had called themselves demons, and their previous encounters with the Shinsengumi suggested that they were involved, somehow, with the Satsuma and Choshu. Although it wasn't clear if the three men were members of any domain, the Satsuma and Choshu were the most vocal imperialist domains. What was clear was they, Kazama, Amagiri, and Shiranui, were not to be taken lightly. There was another problem, however. Why had they come for me? Hijikata asked if I had any idea why they would have targeted me, but I was as desperate to know as he was. They'd called me one of them, and they'd known my last name. Kazama had pointed out my kodachi, although I didn't understand what he'd said. I couldn't bring myself to tell Hijikata and the captains. What if they didn't believe me? I didn't believe me. My name is Chizuru Yukimura. I am the daughter of my father and my mother. I am a normal girl, nothing out of the ordinary. My only memento of my mother, my kodachi, lay in my palm. I squeezed it tight. Who am I? Deep questions. We're still in June. Drink of water, sorry. The compound was alive with noise and movement. I passed several soldiers. Okay, listen. Shoulders and soldiers. Whenever I try to say soldiers, like, I don't know, I must have some speech impediment. A very mild one, but man. Soldiers is very hard for me to say, so I apologize in advance. I passed several soldiers in the halls, each one of them excited about something. Ito? Is something wrong?
どうしたもこうしたもありませんよ。私がなんであんな野蛮人どもと同じ部屋で肌をさらさなきゃならないのです。
Ito's explanation was anything but. Is there something going on today? Ito did his best to collect himself, shakily adjusting his hair and clothing before he spoke.
将軍上洛の時に近藤さんと意気投合したお医者様が屯所に来られているのですよ。 大使たちの健康診断を行うとかの名目で。
With a disdainful sniff, he glared pointedly across the hall, toward the area he'd just left. The men were getting physical checkups, that much I knew. Given my particular situation, I'd been exempted by the captains, who had also given me special instructions to stay away.
あのハゲ坊主、みんなの前で私に服を脱げとおっしゃるのよ。拒んだら無理やり脱がそうとするし。それにあの大使たちの態度。 なんて野蛮なんでしょう。
Savages seemed a bit strong. At any rate, perhaps I should go see just what a physical entailed. I was a doctor's daughter after all. What's this doctor's name?
確か松本良順とか言ったかしら。
What? Wait, Dr. Matsumoto? When I'd first come to Kyoto, my plan had been to try and find Dr. Matsumoto. My father had told me that I could rely on the man if I ever needed anything. Unfortunately, he'd been away on business when I'd arrived, and after that... I'm going to go watch the physical exams. There was no time to waste.
あらあら、あんな野蛮人に会いたいなんて、なんて物好きなのかしら。
I mean, that's a bonus. You know, getting to watch those savages being all undressed. I wonder if there's a CG for this scene. That'd be pretty cool. Is this it? Sorry, gotta adjust my headset. I could hear loud voices from inside. Oh! Oh. Yay! The scene froze me in place.
よし、次の人。おう、俺の番だな。一丁頼ます先生。どうすか。 剣術一筋で鍛えに鍛えたこの体。
How do I hide? I'm gonna do something. Wait, I'm gonna save first, because then I'm gonna do something dangerous. I'm going to try and hide the word bubble just so I can point out something to you. But if I auto skip, then I'll go back to this save. It's a long saving process. Okay, there we go. Shit! I knew that was. Damn it. Okay, sorry. Square auto texts, by the way. I should probably learn the damn controls. Maybe it's circle. There we go. Alright. See, you can see the stomach scar on Harada in the back there. Because that's where he tried to commit suicide. He did the kind of harakiri seppuku style, where you just slice your guts out. So just wanted to point that out. Alright. Back to the story.
新八さんの場合、体は頑丈だもん。見てもらうのは頭の方だよな。
ああ、余計なこと言ってると閉めるぞ、平介。
長倉新八と。よし、問題ない。次。
先生、もっとちゃんと見てくれよ。
いやいや、申し分ない健康体だ。
新八、後ろが使えてるんだからさっさと終わらせろ。
そうじゃなくてよ、もっと他に見るところがあんだろ。
診察は見てもらうものであって見せつけるものじゃない。さっさとどけ。
... It wasn't difficult to see why Ito had been so desperate to escape. I couldn't imagine him as part of such a display.
君はもう少し胃腸に気をつけるようにな。この薬を食後に飲むように。今ので薬が切れたか。
I was waiting outside when Matsumoto stepped out of the room where he was conducting the examinations. Excuse me? He looked at me for a moment, his eyes narrowed in curiosity.
薬の補充も兼ねて休憩にしようか。君、ちょっと手伝ってくれるかね。
Oh, yes, of course. What luck? Dr. Matsumoto.
松本先生、雪村君。
Kondo appeared just as I was preparing to introduce myself to the doctor.
おお、早速会えたようだな。
はい、おかげさまで。
Oops. What? I was utterly lost. Dr. Matsumoto laid a gentle hand on my shoulder.
私は君に会うためにここに来たんだよ。
高堂さんの娘さんがここに身を寄せていると近藤さんが教えてくれたんだ。
Oh, I see.
高堂さんと松本先生が懇意にしていたことは俺も知っていたからな。何か高堂さんの手がかりになればと思い、松本先生が京に戻ってすぐに連絡を取った。
The Shinsengumi had their own reasons for wanting my father found, but Dr. Matsumoto's appearance was still cause for joy. Thank you, both of you. They smiled. Dr. Matsumoto went on to explain that he had just barely missed me when he'd left for Edo as I came to Kyoto. He'd received all my letters, but once he'd finally returned, he had no idea where I'd gone, and consequently couldn't come to find me. Kondo's mention of my presence had taken him quite by surprise.
すれ違いだったとはいえ、辛い思いをさせてしまったようだ。君がここにいる事情は分かっておるよ。
No, I'm doing all right. So, Dr. Matsumoto, about my father... His face took on a grim cast, and before he even spoke, I knew what his response would be.
残念ながら、私も高堂さんの居場所は知らないんだ。
I see. The defeated tone of my voice surprised me. I suppose on some level I had believed that Dr. Matsumoto would have some sort of miraculous revelation about my father. Foolish of me, of course, but that didn't make the truth any less devastating. Kondo simply nodded.
君はここにいることであの薬に関わってしまったようだが、あの薬、つまり高堂さんが新選組で行っていた研究のことについてだが。
Yes, I knew what he meant. The experiments my father had conducted with some strange concoction that could make people go mad. Please tell me about it. I want to know everything my father was doing. He nodded.
高堂さんが新選組で行っていたのは、幕府の命令による羅刹を生み出す実験だった。羅刹とはすなわち鬼人のごとき力と驚異的な治癒能力を持つ人間のことだ。
Furies. It was the first time I'd heard the word. The doctor paused for a moment to look at me, then continued.
そしてその羅刹を生み出したのは落ち水という薬だ。これは西洋ではエリクサー、中国では先端と呼ばれるものに値する。
Well, apparently somewhere they call it elixir, but they didn't bother to localize that. But you could hear that. That was English. Elixir.
つまるところ、不老不死の霊薬みたいなものだ。
Furies, water of life. It sounded more like something from a fairy tale than real life. But there was something in the tone of Dr. Matsumoto's voice that said he was telling the truth. I've already heard about how it makes you strong and hard to kill, but doesn't it cause so much pain that it makes most people go crazy? And even if you survive that, then even the smell of blood can make you go crazy again. Dr. Matsumoto nodded slowly, then pinched the bridge of his nose with a thumb and forefinger. He looked very tired.
そこまで知っていたのか。
Yes. They were human, but not human. Perhaps they were something entirely different now. Vampire! I couldn't see how this water of life could ever be used for good. Even if it had healed Sannan's arm, he'd suffered greatly in the process. Why? It came out more a moan than a question. My father would never want to ruin the life of another, but because of what he'd done, people had suffered. Some had even died. Why was my father doing this? But it wasn't just my father. I was sure no one involved had wanted such a terrible outcome.
だからこそ、両親の呵責に耐えかねた高堂さんはここを去ったんだろう。
しかし、あれは幕府が新選組の戦力増強のために与えてくれた知恵だ。
The doctor only shook his head.
あの計画は失敗だ。行わない方がいい。幕府も見切りをつけているはずだ。
Kondo frowned, perhaps unhappy that Dr. Matsumoto would question the shogunate's original decision.
実験体になった大使たちがどうなったか、それは近藤さんもよく知ってるだろう。あの計画は人道的に決して許されるもんじゃない。
Heard. Kondo gave a non-committal grunt and fell silent. I was sure Kondo knew just how dangerous it was to use the water of life, but the shogunate had come to him with a request. Perhaps he was unable to refuse, even if he wanted to. Silence fell like a thick blanket. It had grown almost unbearable when...
部外者に文句を言われる筋合いはありません。
Sannan? He was especially pale, which seemed to be one of the consequences for being active during the day. Is it okay for you to be up right now?
三男君、顔色が悪そうに見えるぞ。
ご心配なく。
He bowed quickly, his mouth a compressed line, and turned to regard the doctor with a cool gaze.
我々は我々の裁量で例の薬を有効に活用させていただいています。
しかし危険だ。あの薬は強すぎる。
研究は続いています。そしてすでにこの私という成功例もあります。
As Sannan did indeed prove, it was possible to drink the water of life and retain your sanity. It just wasn't easy.
確かにそうかもしれん。だが、成功が続くとは限らん。
いいえ、今後も研究と改良を重ねれば成功率が上がるのは明らかです。
今までと比べて犠牲者が減ればいいという話ではない。無駄死にするものはもうこれ以上。
彼らは我々の礎となったのです。無駄死にではありません。
しかしだな。
ああ、まあまあ二人とも計画の話は後日改めてということにせんか。
It was my private opinion that they were unlikely to agree, no matter what time they discussed the subject, but I felt it would be polite to keep that to myself.
そうですね。
There seemed to be very little in the way of common ground between them, but I could see the merit of both their arguments. Likely Kondo had as well, and had chosen to end things before it got unpleasant.
近藤さんがそうおっしゃるなら。
Sannan's face betrayed nothing of what he might be thinking, even when the corner of his mouth quirked up into the beginning of a smile. He bowed once more and left as swiftly as he'd arrived. Kondo cleared his throat loudly.
そういえば健康診断はどうでしたかな。
ああ、それなんだがな。
Dr. Matsumoto's face took on the look of someone about to discuss something exceedingly grotesque.
怪我人や病人を合計したら全体死の3分の1近くになるじゃないか。
What?
なんと
なんとじゃないぞ近藤さん。あんたらは今まで何をやってたんだ。切り傷から渋り腹までこの豚書は病の見本市だぞ。
そんなことになっていたのか。
まずは病室を用意してそこに病人を運び込んでくれ。それから豚書を清潔にしてもらわんと話にならない。
なるほど、そうであったか。
And so we were ordered to clean the entire compound. The captains complied, although they certainly seemed less than enthusiastic about the idea. The following day, Dr. Matsumoto returned for an inspection. He looked pleased, if not a little smug.
そりゃ死ぬ気で頑張ったからな。
でも掃除は一日休んでただろ。ずるいよな。
土方さんが過保護なんですよ。
うるせえ。お前が変な咳するからだろうが。
If Hijikata had any actual concern for Okita's health, his face showed none of it.
しかし、やはり片付くと気分が良い。
まあな、見違えたもんだ。これはこれで悪くね
え。よし、これからは毎日掃除するか。
おう、頼んだぜ平介。
なんで俺だけなのさ。 体力自慢の新八さんが怠けてどうするんだよ。
I'll help too.
お、そうかそうか。じゃあ明日から2人で頑張ろうな。
おいおい、ちょっと待て。誰もやらねえとは言ってないだろ。
お、まだゴミがあるじゃねえか。ちょうどいい、捨ててこい新八。
いや、だから明日からだろなあ、平介。
片付けたそばから暴れるな。誇りが立つ。
I was enjoying their banter so much, I almost didn't notice Okita quietly step outside. Oh? I could just see Okita and Dr. Matsumoto outside, walking off somewhere together. Where could they be going, I wondered. But pretty sure this is the choice to do. Unless I was going after Okita. But I'm not. I was worried for Okita, but... ... He'd be fine so long as Dr. Matsumoto was with him. Yeah. After the excitement wound down, I excused myself and went back to work. I was outside sweeping, bamboo broom in hand, when he appeared.
お前は雑用をやらされているのか?
What? The cool, bemused voice had come from behind me. ... It took only half a second to realize that it was a voice I'd heard before. Slowly, I turned around. Wow, Rob is being really loud, I'm sorry. Like, I can hear him through my headphones and this game talking Monster Hunter. So if you are hearing that, just be excited for him. Back to story. Chikage Kazuma, just as I'd suspected. His face was a mixture of surprise and sneering disgust as he looked down at me through cold eyes. I took the broom in both hands like a staff and stepped into what I hoped was a fighting stance. What are you doing here? It was halfway between a disdainful laugh and an amused snort. His tone was mocking, but his eyes were like two chips of ice. This was a dangerous man. What was I to do? I could hardly face him alone. Kodo, that was my father's name. But why would he, of all people, mention my father? You want to know about my father? If you're talking about Kodo Yukimura, then yes, he's my father. I'd seen surprise in his face at first, but now an understanding seemed to have dawned across it. Unfortunately, my own confusion had only deepened. Why are you asking about my father? I lowered the broom, my situation temporarily forgotten, when... Hijikata! He settled into a loose fighting stance, placing himself between Kazuma and my pathetically ineffectual broom.
昼間っから何しに来た? 女を口説くにはまだ早い時間だぜ。
こいつに近づくんじゃね
え。Harada, Heisuke.
庭掃除にしては切羽詰まった声が聞こえたからな。
大丈夫か? 怪我してない?
I nodded, relieved.
そうして群れる様は犬猫のごとくだな。
言ってくれる。
I could feel the tension rising by the second, but it was Kazuma who attempted to cut through it.
遊んでほしいなら相手をしてやるが、あいにく今日は用事を済ませに来ただけだ。それからこれは忠告だ。ただの人間を鬼に作り変えるのはやめておけ。
What? Humans into demons? Was he talking about the water of life?
お前には関係ね
え。おう。白昼堂々と女を襲うようなゲスの言い分なんざ聞く耳持たねえな。
愚かな。 俺はお前らに情けをかけ、わざわざ忠告してやってるんだぞ。
If he was trying to show the Shinsengumi kindness, it certainly didn't show on his face.
ここは俺らの領分だ。ご託を並べてないでとっとと帰れっての。
弱い犬ほどよく吠えるな。
He looked away from the captains, as if suddenly entirely uninterested in them, and fixed me with his cold gaze.
コードはこちら側にいる。意味はわかるな。お前の父は幕府を見限ったということだ。
What? His mysterious smile gave me nothing in the way of explanation.
お前がここにいる意味は何だ。よくよく考えることだ。
Then, with a slow, rippling motion, like a shadow slipping across the ground, he turned his back to us and vanished. What was happening? What were demons and why had they come after me? My father was with them? On their side, he must have meant. Did that mean he was working with national imperialists? The inside of my head was a swirling mass of questions and doubts, but the one thing that concerned me was their interest in me. Why were Kazama and his friends after me? He'd said I had the blood of a demon, but I wasn't sure I wanted to tell anyone else that just yet.
しかしさ、なんであいつってお前のこと狙ってんだろうな。
男が女を狙う理由なんざ決まってる。大方こいつに一目惚れでもしたんだろ
う。What? How could he have said something like that so casually? Harada grinned.
なんだ？そんなに意外か？今はそんななりをしてても分かるやつには分かるもんだ。あの鬼野郎もその一人なんだろうよ。
No, he's not in... That's not the reason.
そう思ってるのは案外お前だけかもな。
Why are you doing this to me? Please stop. My voice faded into a pathetic whimper.
サノさんって女の子に甘いよな、ほんと。
分かってねえな、平介。甘いんじゃねえよ。俺は本当のことを言ってるだけだぜ。
これだよ。
My face was so hot, I felt like I could have fried an egg on it.
無駄口はそこまでだ。お前ら、さっさと仕事に戻れ。
へいへい。
おっと、結構時間経ってた。
I looked up at the sky. The sun was already far to the west. There was still a lot of cleaning for me to do.
元気出せよ。
Harada gave me a friendly clap on the shoulder as he spoke. Suddenly my heart felt a little lighter and my mind a little less troubled. Thank you. I rolled up my sleeves and took a firm grip on my broom. From then on, Matsumoto visited the compound regularly to check up on the men of the Shinsengumi. The corps were renamed the Fury Corps, but remained secret. Still, I couldn't help but wonder, was it really all right to continue to research the creation of Furies? It wasn't long before I began to wish I'd never heard of the Water of Life or Furies. Oh, Snapple, October 1866, so we've gone like over another year. Thanks, son. Alright. After the dust cleared, following the Hamaguri Rebellion, the Shogun set about cleaning house. The Choshu domain were declared enemies of the court, and the Shogun gathered other domains and launched a military campaign known as the Choshu Expedition. It was the intention of the shogunate to completely demolish the Choshu domain, but intervention on the part of Satsuma and some of the other domains led to an early end for the expedition with no actual battles fought. Perhaps feeling they'd dodged a bullet, the Choshu domain fell silent for a time. Their obedience was short-lived, however, and before long their disrespect for the shogun became impossible to ignore. Kondo was asked to accompany an envoy sent to the Choshu to investigate their behavior, but they refused to even meet with the envoy. Fed up with their insubordination, the shogunate ordered the second Choshu expedition. What is it, Nagakura? Is something wrong? What is it, boy? Someone in the someone. Did Timmy fall in the well? I'm done. Sorry.
巡察の最中、不定老師にでも出くわしたか？
それどころじゃねえ。家持ち子が亡くなったらしい。
Iemochi being the shogun, if you recall. What? Lord Iemochi, the 14th shogun of the Tokugawa shogunate? I could feel my chest tighten. I'd never seen his face in person, and neither had most of the Shinsengumi. Even so, the Shinsengumi had been assigned to guard him in the past, and he was the symbol of the shogunate.
そりゃ本当か。何もこんな時に。長州征伐はどうなっちまうんだ。次の将軍はもう決まってるのか。
そのあたりはよくわからねえけどよ。
大将なしで戦争するってのはさすがにな。兵隊の士気も上がらねえだろ。
なんかよ、嫌な予感がするんだよな。この前も長州藩を攻めきれないで帰ってきちまったからな。今度もそうならなきゃいいんだけどよ。
They're only a single domain. I tried to convince myself that a single domain couldn't cause much of a problem, but I couldn't shake that feeling of dread. Soon afterward, the shogunate led a massive army against the Choshu, but the expense of war weighed heavily on the coffers of the other domains, and they fielded fewer troops than the shogunate had hoped for. The death of Iemochi was another blow to army morale, and some domains withdrew from the war entirely. So it was that the second Choshu expedition ended in a shocking defeat for the shogunate army. That was the moment when the shogunate government, stable for 260 years, began to waver. It sure has been hot lately. I swept my hand across my face, wiping away several new beads of sweat. Kyoto was a nice city, but I could have certainly done without the humid heat. Beneath his usual calm, there was a hint of alertness and carefully restrained violence, and for good reason. The Choshu had been declared enemies of the court after the Hamaguri rebellion and driven out of Kyoto, but some feared remnants of their forces had remained behind in hiding. Now, more than ever, Saito and the rest of the Shinsengumi had to be alert and focused when on patrol.
とりあえず、あそこの店から回ってみる。お前は店の前で待ってろ。中にいても手持ち無沙汰だろう。
All right. He gave me a short nod of confirmation and stepped into the shop with his men.
新選組だ。店を改めさせてもらう。
I'd been waiting for Saito and his division for a few minutes when I noticed a commotion nearby.
おいおいおい、道を開けやがれ。勤王の使者。
A number of rather unpleasant-looking Ronin were making their way in my general direction, yelling, threatening, and generally intimidating anyone unfortunate enough to cross their path. Patriots? Hardly. Perhaps they considered themselves loyal to the imperial court, but they looked like the sort who only used their supposed patriotism as an excuse to steal and kill. These were just the sort of men whom the Shinsengumi was charged with subduing.
ほら、邪魔だって言ってんだろ。
The Ronin tossed a poorly aimed kick at a child playing in the street. Stop! I'd barely taken a single step toward them when...
やめなさいよ、みっともない。
Nice. I didn't see where she'd come from, but a girl had run out to place herself between the Ronin and the child.
あ？なんだてめえは。
たかが女が俺たち勤王の志士に意見するってのか？
The man's obviously short fuse had been lit. He made a grab for the girl and missed. I suspected his next attack wouldn't be quite so inaccurate. I couldn't let that happen.
なんだお前は。その女の知り合いか？
No, I don't.
知り合いじゃねえんなら突っ込んでろ。
Flecks of spit flew from his mouth as he roared at me, and my legs suddenly felt somewhat weaker than they had a moment ago. But I was committed. I couldn't run now. If you truly love your country as you say, then why do you abuse women and children? A samurai should protect the common people, not attack them.
なんだと？そうだそうだ。いいぞ兄ちゃん。
獅子気取りの不良老子め、今日からさっさと出ていけ。
Something about my speech seemed to have struck a chord with the crowd that had begun to gather. With the cheers, my legs started to regain some of their usual steadiness.
くそバカにしやがって
With the rough hiss of metal, the Ronin's sword leapt from its scabbard. I suddenly discovered I had difficulty swallowing. I could try to dodge, but if I did, he might hit the girl my actions had intended to protect. No, that wasn't an option. I shut my eyes. Huh? Slowly, carefully, I opened my eyes.
安心しろ、峰内だ。
Saito!
貴様
そいつを屯所に連れて行け。長州の残党かもしれん。
はい。
Working quickly, Saito's men set to work binding the Ronin for transport. Saito's cold eyes fell on me.
無茶をするな。何故俺を呼ばない。
I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking.
そうよ、無茶なことしちゃって。あんなの私一人でも大丈夫だったのに。
A scolding from Saito was expected, but I hadn't thought that my erstwhile damsel in distress would contribute. I'm sorry I made you worry. I gave her a short, slightly confused bow, to which she blinked as if suddenly remembering something very important.
あ、でも私あなたに助けてもらったのよね。まだお礼を言ってなかったわ。ありがとう。あなた勇気があるのね。老子相手に立ち向かうなんて普通できないわ。
No, I didn't. I mean, Saito and his men saved me. I didn't really do anything. She raised a dainty hand to her mouth in a poor attempt to stifle a giggle.
謙遜なんてしなくていいわよ。これも何かの縁だと思うし、女の子同士仲良くしましょうね。
Damn, everybody know I'm a bitch. Saito glanced from her to me, and an expression flickered across his face that I couldn't quite place.
見る者が見ればわかることだ。動揺するな。
あら、もしかして内緒だったの？
Well, I wasn't entirely sure how to respond. How does a person respond to that sort of question? She seemed to sense my confusion and gracefully moved on.
ところで、まだお名前を伺ってなかったわね。これも何かの縁ですもの。教えてくれる？
Well, this is... It seemed only polite to introduce him first, being that he was a good deal more important than I, but the girl seemed to have other ideas.
そちらの方は斉藤さんよね。新選組は有名なもの知ってるわ。で、あなたの名前は？
My name is Chizuru Yukimura. It's nice to meet you.
よろしくね。私のことはセンって呼んで。
Miss Sen?
なんか水臭いな。見たところ同い年ぐらいだし、そんなにかしこまらなくっていいわよ。
So just Sen then.
まあ、許容範囲かな。
She grasped my hand between her own, her face open and earnest.
また会いましょうね。
She gave my hand a gentle squeeze, then turned and left, her kimono flapping behind her. Our encounter was over before it had a chance to grasp what was even happening, and so I simply stood, stunned for a moment or two. I glanced up uncertainly at Saito. Is my, disguise really so easy to see through? If it wasn't, then how had Sen, whom I've just met, been able to tell immediately that I was a girl? I had to admit, I'd felt like it was a pretty good disguise. Saito looked down at me, a strange expression on his face. Wait, what's that supposed to mean? His only response was a flicker of a smile. I opened my mouth to protest.
そろそろ場所を変えるぞ。これじゃいつまで経っても見回りきれない。
He spun on his heel and marched off down the street. Fine! It was clear he had given me all the answers I was going to receive, and so I hurried to catch up, albeit somewhat petulantly. This soundtrack, though. It felt like summer. Each day was hotter than the last. On this particularly sweltering day, I was bringing some tea to Kondo, who was relaxing on the veranda. Here's your tea, sir. Sorry. He had been deep in thought, arms crossed and face stern. Things had been bad since Lord Iemochi's death. Kondo especially was having a difficult time of it. Perhaps it was best if I simply left him alone. I turned and already begun to walk away when he spoke.
今、掃除を松本先生に見せてるんだ。
His coughing had grown more violent and more frequent lately. Perhaps... What did he say?
まだなんとも。何か重い病気でなければいいのだが、もし掃除の身に何かあったら、あの人に申し訳が立たんからな。
Her? Lines formed across his forehead and his frown deepened.
今日に来る前、掃除の姉のミツさんからくれぐれもよろしく頼むと言われていてな。ミツさんを怒らせたらどんな目に遭わされるか想像するだけで恐ろしい。
What would she do to you? It wasn't exactly the sort of thing I'd ever thought I'd hear from Kondo of all people. As his descriptions of her behavior became more and more exaggerated, I found myself laughing.
いやいやいや、笑い事ではないぞ。あの人と口喧嘩するくらいなら、不定老師10人を相手にした方がまだマシだと思えるほどだ。
確かに俺もあの人は苦手だ。
Hijikata?
何事もなきゃいいんだが、もし掃除の身に何かあれば、その時はミツさんへのことづてを頼むぞ、トシ。
冗談じゃねえよ。そういう表立った仕事は局長のあんたの役目だろう。
そうは言われてもな。
Kondo's behavior had been strange enough, but Hijikata too? Just what sort of person was Okita's sister?
そりゃそうと、近藤さん。三条大橋に建てられてる生殺のことを知ってるか？
The board he was talking about had been set up by the shogunate to officially and publicly declare the Choshu enemies of the court.
最近、あの生殺を引き抜いて鴨川に捨てたバカがいるらしい。
無論その話は聞いている。だがその生殺は立て直されたんじゃなかったのか？
そいつがまた引き抜かれちまったそうだ。そろそろ新選組にお声がかかるんじゃねえか？
以前殺が引き抜かれたのは確か夜中だったな。なら三男さんの羅刹体を使ったらどうだ？
Hijikata frowned.
羅刹体か。
なんだ、引っかかることでもあるのか？
Hijikata chose his words carefully, his face
あ
grim.
いつらは確かによく働いてくれるが、やりすぎなんだよ。どんな任務につけても、それに関わったものは全て皆殺しにしてきちまう。しかも、それだけじゃ飽きたらねえ。元の形をとどめないくらい、死体をバラバラに切り刻みやがる。新選組の仕業だってバレねえようにするためとはいえ、ありゃ、いくらなんでもやりすぎだ。新選組は人殺し集団じゃねえ。死体で遊ぶのはやめろといくら諌めても治らねえ。あれじゃ、辻斬り連中と変わらねえよ。
Dot dot dot. I felt a shiver snake down my spine as he spoke. Even more than a year later, I still remembered with terrifying clarity what I'd seen when I first arrived in Kyoto. The Furies. They'd behaved as if possessed by evil spirits, their swords hacking away mercilessly at men already dead. It hadn't been hatred or fear that drove them, but some sort of twisted amusement. I didn't think I'd ever forget the half-mad smiles each had worn.
ま、いくつか手を考えてみるか。
そうだな。細かいことは都市に任せるよ。ところでこの間聞いたところによると、将軍後見職の一橋慶喜公がだな。
あの人か。家康公の再来と言われてるそうだな。確かに頭はいいのかもしれねえが。
Before long, they'd started to discuss politics I couldn't begin to understand, and I politely excused myself. That's what I do with all politic conversations. Political conversations, not politic conversations. It's late, I'm sorry. I thought back on what Hijikata had said. It was true that Sannan had been acting strange, and the Fury Corps had been getting more and more violent. There was a lot on my mind, but what worried me the most was the notice board. Just as Hijikata had predicted, a few days later the order came down for the Shinsengumi to guard the notice board. All divisions not on regular patrol rounds were directed to take turns on guard duty. The first day was quiet, and the men on duty spent most of it simply standing around.
一晩中立て札を見張ってたから眠いったらねえぜ。長州の連中と刃を交えるんならいざ知らず。札の稽古じゃやる気も起きねえしな。
Well, it's still an important job.
いや、わかってるんだけどよ。さすがに今日こそは何か起きるかもな。今夜の当番は。
そうだったな。ま、タイムは果たすさ。
Nagakura had just opened his mouth to respond when I heard footsteps approaching us.
幕軍が長州藩ただ一藩に敗れたこのご時世、不良浪士を切って捨てたところで何が変わるとも思いませんが。
The footsteps belonged to Ito, the Shinsengumi's military advisor. His tight smile had a twist of irony to it.
伊藤さん、新選組の仕事に文句でもあるんすか？
いえいえ、立て札の警護とはいえ大切な職務ですからね。ま、せいぜい頑張ってください。それでは失礼しますよ。
He picked his way deliberately out of the hall, giggling to himself. As soon as his footsteps had faded out of hearing, Nagakura spat out a curse.
さく、相変わらず嫌味な野郎だぜ。幕府に雇われてる身だってのに、公然とそんなのをぶってやがるし。
仲間を集めてコソコソしてる姿もよく見かけるな。近藤さんは一体何を考えてあんなのを引っ張ってきたんだか。
... It wasn't just Nagakura and Harada who didn't seem to like Ito much. I'd heard plenty of the other captains and even some of the soldiers talking about him in less than glowing terms. There was no way Ito himself hadn't picked up on it, but he seemed to have larger concerns than his reputation, and had devoted his efforts into increasing his power base within the Shinsengumi. Whatever was going on with him, I hoped it would resolve itself quickly. The Shinsengumi couldn't afford infighting.
さてと、そろそろ時間だな。
Oh,
なんだ、お前もついてくるつもりか？やめとけ。お前は鬼連中から狙われてんだろ。夜の巡察には連れて行けねえよ。
Sitting around all day doing nothing was beginning to chafe. I wanted to help somehow, but Harada was right. If I went with him, I'd just end up getting in the way. Well, please be careful, okay, Harada?
ああ、わかってるって。
Crunkle, crunkle. That night they struck, or at least tried to. 8 men from the Tosa domain challenged Harada and his division in an attempt to tear down the notice board. The fighting was furious but short. Harada managed to capture some of the perpetrators, although some of those he'd captured later managed to escape. Harada and his division were honored by the Aizu domain for their service to the shogunate and given a reward. When he asked how the captured men had managed to escape, he simply replied, "It was too dark to get a good look," and said no more. Several days after Harada's encounter at the notice board, I accompanied the captains to a meal at Sumi.
いやー、佐野、お前は本当によくやった。まさか報奨金でみんなにご馳走したいなんて言ってくれるとはな。
新八さん、褒めるならそこじゃなくて生殺を守りきったってところじゃないかな。
いや、そこはもちろん褒めるけどな。それ以上にここの感情を佐野が持ってくれるってことに感激して涙がちょちょぎれそうで。みんな、今夜は佐野のおごりだ。目いっぱい飲んで日頃の嘘を晴らしてくれ。
てめえ、人の金だと思って。
佐野さん、ありがとよ。今日は感情を気にせず好きなだけ飲ませてもらうからさ。
みんながみんなお酒が飲めるわけじゃないんだけどな。
そう言わねえで。 せっかく来たんだからうまいものたーんと食っとけ。
まあそうですね。どうせ払いは佐野さん持ちなんだし。
I wasn't entirely sure Sumi was the sort of place a girl should be, but they were treating me like I was one of them, like I'd finally been accepted. It felt nice. The door at the other end of the room slid open.
皆さん、お晩どすえ。
Hey girl. An oiran in a beautiful kimono stepped through to greet us with a smile that was somehow both dazzling and demure. Her skin was as white as porcelain with soft red highlights, her lips looked soft and full, and her hair shone in the light like yards of fine silk. For a moment I stared in awe of her beauty, my own sex forgotten. Something flickered in her eyes, but it was gone almost immediately. Then she smiled, and it was like watching a flower bloom.
ダンさんたちのお相手をさせていただきます。君菊どす。
Assassin! That's my guess.
どうぞ楽しんでおくんなまし。料理もすぐに参りますえ。
Indeed it had, and once the food had arrived, the party truly began.
やっぱ高い酒は違うな。喉がキューッとするよ、キューッと。
エスケ、お前さっきから飯も食わずに飲んだばっかじゃねえか。すきっ腹で飲むと酔いが回るのが早いぞ。
いや、今週じゃこんな高い酒飲めないし、飯で腹いっぱいにしちまうのがなんかもったいなくて。
貧乏くせえセリフだな。今日は気にしないで飲んでいけよ。
さすがキズっ腹、いやいや太っ腹。
楽しんでるか？
Oh, I can't drink, so I'm just enjoying the food.
お、そうだったっけ？そんじゃ
I wonder
料
if
理を
it's an
たらふく食っ
underage
とけ
thing.
よ。せっかく来たんだから楽しんでいかねえと損だぞ。
Thanks. Still, it was the first time I'd ever eaten anything so expensive. Although, to be honest, I couldn't really taste much of a difference.
新選組の土方はんって鬼のような方と思うてましたけど、なんや役者みたいなええ男どすな。
よく言われる。
Kimigiku and Hijikata chatted easily while she poured him his sake, looking almost too beautiful to be real, like they'd stepped out of a painting. Next to someone like her, any woman would have felt rather plain. I was no exception, and dressing like a boy certainly wasn't helping.
にしても縦札を守っただけでこんだけの報奨金が出るんなら、全員捕まえてたらどれだけの大金がもらえてたんだろうな。なあ佐野、どうして逃がしちまったんだ。8人くらいならなんとかできねえ数じゃねえだろ。
おお、俺もそれが不思議だったんだ。敵を絶対に逃がさないよう包囲網を敷いてたんだろ。一旦捕まえたやつもいたらしいじゃん。
Not from me. Harada fell silent, his face slipping into a frown. He stayed that way for a moment or two, then looked, inexplicably, at me.
お前、あの晩どこかに出かけなかったか？
What? I hesitated, unsure of what he was getting at. No, I didn't go anywhere. Why?
本当にあの夜は外出してねえんだな。
Yes, I'm sure. I've never left the compound alone, ever. Again he fell silent, the same frown crossing his face.
おい、どうしたんだ？
Harada didn't look up. When he spoke, his voice was quiet.
間違いであってくれりゃいいんだが。だけどよ、あれだけ近くで見たんだ。絶対に間違うはずがね。
Harada? What are you talking about? At last he looked up straight into my eyes.
実はだな。縦札を引っこ抜こうとした土佐藩士を取り囲んだ時、お前によく似た顔の女に邪魔されたせいで包囲網が崩れちまったんだ。
What? The whole room had gone silent. Harada barely spoke above a whisper, but every one of us could hear him perfectly. A girl who looked just like me? What did he mean? I guess it was a year ago that they met the other girl now.
まあそんな時もある。とりあえず今日は佐野の残りだ。
賛成。今日は限界に挑戦してやるぜ。
In just a few minutes, Heisuke and Nagakura had the party back in full swing, but I couldn't get my mind off what Harada had said. I'd never left the compound on my own since the time I'd first met the Shinsengumi. Then, what had he seen? I felt strange. What would you call something like this after all? A ghost? No, I was still alive. Was it some sort of astral projection then? Whatever it was, there was something out there who looked just like me, and they were causing trouble. It was depressing.
さっきは悪かったな。おかしなこと言っちまって。別にお前を疑ってるわけじゃねえんだ。俺たちの邪魔をしてもお前が得することなんて何もねえはずだしな。
No, it's not like that. I'm fine. Please, don't worry about me. I know for sure that I was at the temple that night. No matter how much this other person looked like me, I know she wasn't me. Besides, I don't think I could even get to Sanjo Ohashi without one of you guys. Harada grinned and gave me a short laugh.
なんだ？まだ道順を覚えてねえのか。もう結構巡察にも出てるんだろ?
Well, a long time, yes, but all of the streets look the same, and there aren't any landmarks to help me out. You don't think it's hard to find your way around Kyoto?
お前らしいっちゃお前らしいかもしれねえけど。
Hey, what's that supposed to mean? I was about to continue that line of questioning when a thought struck me. Oh, Heisuke!
あ、なんだ?
Do you think maybe that girl Harada's talking about is the one we met? You remember, her name was Kaoru. We met her when we were out on patrol with Okita.
ああ、そういえば。
He smacked his leg heartily, making a great show of remembering the encounter, but his smile quickly warped into a frown.
確かにそうじゃ似てるって言ってたけど、俺はそうでもないと思ったけどな。
Well, yes, but he was right. In fact, Okita had teased him mercilessly about it. Perhaps it didn't mean what I suspected it did. I was deep in thought when Harada spoke up.
なんだ? もしかして知り合いなのか?
いや、前巡察の最中に見かけた子がさ、彼女にそっくりだって宗司が言ってたんだ。俺はそうでもないと思うんだけどさ、なんせ向こうはお嬢さん姿だったし。
That was true too. I'd been disguised as a man, but Kaoru had been wearing a woman's kimono. But did Heisuke only think we didn't look alike because of how we'd been dressed? Harada seemed to take my silence as a prompt for his input. He sighed.
その女のことはよくわからんが、とりあえず平助に女を見る目がないってことはよくわかったぜ。
はあ？なんでそうなるんだよ。
Harada shot back a clever retort, and then they were off, bickering playfully back and forth. I watched them yell and gesticulate, but my mind was elsewhere. Perhaps my face and Kaoru's did look similar, or even the same, but if it had been her, then what had been her purpose in impeding Harada? Anyone who lived in Kyoto would have known who the Shinsengumi were, and what that board represented. I felt Harada's hand on my shoulder.
まあ、この世には似た顔をした人間が3人はいるって言うしな。その子の仕業だって決めつけるのはちょっと早計だぜ。
I didn't know if there were really 3 other people out there with my face, but he had a point. To all appearances, she was just a normal girl. I couldn't imagine someone like her deciding to mess with the Shinsengumi and then just disappearing into the night.
その話、詳しく聞かせろ。
Saito had a drink in his hand, but he looked as calm and serious as ever. Oh, well, while we were out on patrol a while ago, we met a girl named Kaoru. She looked a lot like me, and, Saito listened quietly, but looked up into my eyes when I finished, his face tense.
そいつに話を聞いてみる価値はありそうだな。
But she didn't look like someone who would want to harm the Shinsengumi, or even could. Saito shook his head once.
外見だけならいくらでも取り繕うことができるさ。その女と会ったのは本当に初めてなのか?
Yes. Okita thought she looked just like me, although Heisuke didn't agree.
今日に親戚はいないのか? 同じ顔の人間などそうめったにいるものではない。
You mean, could she be related to me? If I had relatives here, I think my father would have told me to contact them, not Dr. Matsumoto.
なるほどな。
He didn't look entirely convinced, but apparently I'd said enough because he asked me no more questions.
さてと、いい感じに酒も回ってきたことだし、恒例のあれやるぞ、あれ。
お、来た来た。さすが殿、待ってました。
Woo!
ほら、目かっぴらいてしっかり見とけ。
Hold on. Yay!
この腹はな、そんじょそこらの腹じゃねえ。刃物の味を知ってんだぜ。
Harada, quite drunk by now, pulled open his shirt with a lopsided grin of pride and pointed at the ugly scar that crossed his belly. The Oiran feigned polite interest. Nagakura gave a hoot of laughter.
なに威張ってやがんだ。切腹の作法も知らないゲス野郎って煽られて、短気起こしててめえで詰めただけじゃねえか。
足りねえよ。男たる者、メンツをぶっ潰されて黙ってられるか。
佐野さん、豪気だよな。もしそのまま死んじまってたらどうするつもりだったんだ？
そらそん時に考える。武士道とは死ぬことと見つけたりなんてな。
そんじゃその名誉をたたえてっと。
From out of nowhere, Nagakura produced a brush and its accompanying ink and began to draw on Harada's stomach.
おっ、てめえ何しやがる。
いや、こんだけ見事な刀傷なんだ。名前でもつけて可愛がってやろうぜ。もしかしたらそのうち喋り始めるかもしれねえぞ。
バカ野郎、俺の傷は人面素かっつの。
佐野さんやばいって。佐野さんが喋るたびに腹んとこにある口がビクビク動いて。
Apparently that was hilarious to Heisuke, who proceeded to double up on himself in laughter, hands wrapped around his stomach and face red with mirth. Oh, Harada. The three of them cavorted and tumbled around the room like children, and in spite of myself, I began to laugh. The party lasted until morning, or so I heard. I had left before it ended for reasons of my own, but I heard plenty about it later. There was a lot for me to worry about, not the least of which was my possibly evil doppelganger. But I found it impossible to feel sorry for myself amidst all that good cheer. It was near year's end and I was outside in the cold weather sweeping the compound. Whew, well that should do it. I wanted to help out as much as I could, but since they still refused to let me out without an escort, there wasn't a great deal I could do. Still, I had helped make our home clean, and that felt good. Hopefully they'd like it too.
境内の掃除か？ずいぶん精が出るな。
Oh, hello Kondo. It's really gotten cold lately, hasn't it?
今日に来てからずいぶん経つが、この寒さにはどうもなれんな。
He rubbed his hands together and blew on them in a mostly vain attempt to warm them up. I've picked up a bunch of dead leaves, so I was thinking about roasting potatoes later. Would you like some? They'll warm you up. Kondo gave me a little wry smile.
焼き芋か。昔はよくやったもんだが。
Oh. I flushed with embarrassment. Kondo was a busy man. Management of the Shinsengumi was not easy. A man like that didn't have time for roasting potatoes. You've been really busy lately. I hope you're taking care of yourself.
まあ、こういう時代だからな。忙しいってことは、それだけ新選組が頼りにされてるってことだ。名誉なことさ。
True. In the last several weeks, Kondo and Hijikata had left the temple often to go meet with important shogunate officials. They probably scarcely had time to breathe, let alone relax. At that moment, almost as if my thoughts had summoned him, Hijikata appeared.
お、近藤さん。
おお、トシ、どこに行ってたんだ？探したぞ。次の将軍がだな。家持将軍の後見人だった一橋慶喜公に決まったようだ。
Hijikata's brow furrowed to what I wouldn't have hesitated to describe as a glower.
あの人か。ま、噂通りの人物ならいいんだがな。
お前はどうしてそう素直に受け取れないかね。
Who's Lord Hitotsubashi? I had a vague memory that he was the commander of the shogunate forces during the Battle of Hamaguri Gate, but Kondo gave me a quick explanation of the
あ
rest.
の方は家康公の再来って呼ばれてるほど英明な方らしい。
He glanced over at Hijikata, perhaps looking for corroboration. He found none.
頭の回転も速く、天使様の信頼も厚い。言うことねえじゃねえか。
There was a certain pride in Kondo's voice, almost as if he were talking about a friend or brother. If what he said was true, though, then perhaps this shogun would be able to unite the shogunate and the imperial court and overcome the crisis that was destroying our nation.
頭がいいってのは認めるがね。
まだなんか引っか。
まあいい。将軍が誰になろうが、俺たちはその将軍の下で戦うだけだ。
そうだな。俺たちが頑張れば、それだけ将軍様も徳川幕府も安泰ってわけだ。
He kept his tone carefully light, perhaps in an attempt to sway Hijikata, but to no avail. Only 20 days after Lord Yoshinobu had been officially inaugurated as the new shogun, the emperor passed away. It was especially hard on the emperor's younger sister, Kazunomiya, who had been married to Lord Iemochi and was intended to be a symbol of imperial unification, but everyone on both sides was shocked by his death. He was succeeded by the imperial prince, a young boy of only 15 years. In the turmoil, the activities of the Choshu domain went uninvestigated. The entire country of Japan found itself thrust into rapid motion. End of history lesson, start of chapter 3. I got a trophy. I was trying to think of something to end it with, but I'm not gonna. Because we're gonna save, and then we're gonna stop for the night, because these chapters are long. And I'm gonna go to sleep. Actually, I'm not gonna go to sleep. There's stuff I'm gonna do, like maybe play a round of Utapri Shining Live, maybe, you know, do internet stuff. But either way, I gotta do that, and then I gotta go to sleep. So I'm going to stop tonight. Let's see if I can. Is there anything I can show you? I swear there's a way to see what the love meter is. Ah! Damn it! Why do I always do that? Setting. No. Maybe encyclopedia. Status. There we go. Let's see. Let's check our boy. Look at that romance meter. It's not great, but we're getting there. Anyway, I will end things here tonight. We completed chapter 2, so that's great. Next time will be chapter 3, because I like to go in numerical order. Thank you for joining me, or listening to this later, or however you are choosing to process this playthrough. I don't know. We're almost halfway to getting Harada. It's going to be a fun route. I like playing this. It's nice and calm, and it's fun to read, and I hope you're enjoying it, and I will see you next chapter.